All right, so today we're doing ISKCON as Lord Chaitanya's vehicle, the vehicle for Lord Chaitanya's mercy, his instructions. And you'll see as we get into it, but basically this class is about just putting things in perspective about what Srila Prabhupada's movement, has to offer, what it's got to give, and also looking at some of the other things that might be said basically by other people outside the movement that that you might need something else or this or that. So it's a kind of I won't say it's a controversial class, but it's a little bit just getting into things that to mainly expose you to things that you might hear other people say. And before they say them to you, which they're going to say, then it's to sort of say, all right, some other people might say this, but let's actually have a look at that in reality. What does that actually mean? So this is the kind of thrust of this class. And I'll just say at the outset, it's not to say that other people are not giving Lord Chaitanya's mercy or Krishna's mercy or giving bona fide praise. It's not saying that other people are not doing that, but it's just bringing up one particular main thing that you might hear people say, oh, come to and hear this. This is the real kind of thing. And so anyway, we'll get into this. So we talked already the last couple of classes about what was the 7 purposes of ISKCON. Prabhupada set this up in, is it July? July 66, and we read that he got the apartment in May 66. So 2 months after he got the apartment, he had a few people coming regularly, and Mukunda Maharaj was one of the signers. He didn't even really know what it was about. He was sort of a supporter, but he wasn't and it definitely wasn't initiated. He wasn't fully dedicated. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So just, we've got that in perspective that Srila Prabhupada had in his mind envisioned this whole movement of this, what he wanted to do. And that's what it is. We went through that last time. And we looked at this verse that in the Vedas is described that there's different means of elevation in the different time periods. There's meditation, fire sacrifice, deity worship, and then there's chanting of the holy names as the main thing. And this is the main thing for Kali Yuga. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it said that this religious system can only be spread if one is empowered by Krishna. One cannot propagate Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement without him, Lord Caitanya, giving the empowerment to that person. So it's not just that anybody can decide to do it. They have to actually be empowered. So this is bhakti, right? It's a personal relationship with the Lord. So if the Lord is not, just like anything, if we don't have to get a personal relationship with someone who's very famous or very wealthy or very whatever, they have a big company that we want to work for, whatever, ultimately we have to get their permission. It has to come from them. So we went through all of this in the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks, okay?
Deva.
Yes?
Could someone be empowered and not know? They're not on the knowing, but obviously Krishna.
Well, there's that verse of what is the definition of Bhakti Yoga, and it says, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, which in Sanskrit means that they have to themselves be favourably wanting to serve Krishna. So there has to be that element of so they know this is Lord Krishna, he's the Supreme Lord, Radha Krishna, I want to serve them. There has to be that element of knowledge for bhakti.
But we're kind of doing that, but we don't fully know Krishna.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's the point.
Getting empowered to
exactly.
do something, but
exactly. Yeah. Well, no, to the degree we know him, to the degree we'll be empowered. Yeah. Yeah. And for someone that doesn't know anything, has never heard you're not this body, you're an eternal soul, the soul changes. So for someone who's never heard that, you are like fully empowered to give them that knowledge. You know what I mean? It can just shatter their whole world in a good way, like end their material life. So basically we're empowered up to the level that we know Krishna and that the level we know the philosophy. Prabhupada directly knew Krishna, so he is fully empowered. Like that. So this is the verse I wanted to talk a bit about in regard to what we're going to talk about what is actually the process. How do we attain ultimate perfection, right? So we know ultimate perfection, Prabhupada said, he called this magazine Back to Godhead. So the ultimate goal of Bhakti Yoga is to go back to the spiritual reality. That's the goal, back to Godhead. So what is the process of how do we achieve that goal? This verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita is very, very important. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavu Nai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Udai. Do you guys want to have a go at saying that? Such a beautiful verse.
Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavu Nai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Udai.
Very nice. So let's say the meaning. So Nitya Siddha, eternally established.
Eternally established.
Krishna Prema,
Krishna Prema.
love of Krishna.
Love of Krishna.
Sadhya,
Sadhya.
to be gained.
To be gained.
Kabu,
Kavu.
at any time.
At any time.
Nai,
Nai.
not.
Not.
Shravana Adi,
Shravanadi.
by hearing, etc.
By hearing, etc.
Shuddha,
Shuddha.
purified.
Purified.
Chitte,
Chitte.
in the heart.
In the heart.
Karaya Udai,
Karaya Udai.
awakens. Awakens. So let's all say this together. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. Okay, so this ties in with Krishna saying in very beginning of Gita that there's only two categories of things. There's those things that are eternal and never change and exist forever, and then there's those things that are temporary and that always change, right? So in the Vedas, this idea that you have a soul that's created by God at some time and then it becomes eternal, it's not a philosophical category. It just is not a thing. Like, things are either eternal, so they're spiritual, they're totally outside of time, and they can never be degraded. They just exist, pure spirit. And then there's things that are constantly changing, you know, the bodies of the plants and our bodies and everything, all these things are constantly changing and they never stay the same. So here is said Nitya, Nitya means eternal, Nitya Siddha, Siddha means perfect, Nitya Siddha, eternally established or eternally perfect, Krishna Prema, love of Krishna, Sadhya, to be gained at any time not, it can't be gained at any time. So what it's saying in this sloka is that pure love for Krishna, the ultimate perfectional stage of consciousness, is eternally in the heart of every living being. It's not something you have to get from somewhere else. We all have it already. We all have pure Krishna Prema in our hearts. That's what this verse is saying, right? It's not something we have to get, learn how to do it. No, we just have to uncover it. How do we uncover it? By hearing and chanting. Shravan Adi. So Shravan means hearing, right? We've heard Shravan, Kirtanam, Smaranam, like that. Shravan means hearing. Adi means etc. So by hearing, chanting, all those processes, Shuddha, the heart becomes purified. Chitte, in the heart, Karaya Udai, it awakens. So it's, right? Deep verse, right? Intense. Big point of philosophy.
How does that work if you look at it from a constitutional position and from where we are right now with all of our conditioning? When we kind of reach love of Krishna, but it's awakening it, does that mean it's just peeling away all the conditioning?
Yeah, simultaneously awakening, the love like peels away and that love like blossoms, like it becomes, you become conscious or aware of it. So it's there right now for all of us, but it's buried very deep. Like this tree has pure love of Krishna, but how much is it conscious of it? Very, very tiny bit, right? So then when you come to human form, it's more open consciousness. And then when you actually start to chant and follow process, then it's just open more. Yeah. So basically, yeah, the layers just get peeled away. But as the layers get peeled away, your conscious mind becomes aware of that love of Krishna. Like you don't want to just go around hurting people and taking stuff because you're like, whoa, they're Krishna's, children as well. Like, it hurts like hurting myself. Like you become aware of it as well. You were going to say something, KG? When did it go?
I have a question. Like this verse says that the bhakti is in the heart internally.
Yeah.
Then we also hear how we receive bhakti from someone who has bhakti.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate how that?
Yeah.
Those two things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a seeming paradox, right? Because it almost seems the opposite.
We gotta get it from someone else.
Yeah, exactly. So there's another verse that says, Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. And Bija means a seed. And so Lata means like a creeper. So the Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of that creeper of devotion that you're trying to grow, that is given by Guru and Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasad, by their mercy, Bhakti Lata Bij. So that says, basically, it seems to be like saying the opposite of this. But like everything in Krishna consciousness, it's trying to describe little different aspects of an infinite reality. So if you just take one aspect and just run with it and say, it's all that, it's all that, it's all that, then you'll get, waylaid. So there's this aspect, this is true. Another aspect, and this is, you might say, this is from a spiritual perspective, right? This is looking from the spiritual, like spiritual philosophical understanding. Tattva, you can say. From the tattva or the philosophy, this is establishing what it is, right? And the other one is looking from a practical material perspective, from a practical how you can actually do this. This is foundational, so tattva, so this is the foundation of it. And then on top of that, that other verse, Brahmanda Brahmate Gona Bhagavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata that is more external. That is coming away from the foundation of it. And you can understand that by the verse itself, right? This verse says Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. That verse starts off Brahmanda Brahmate, like in the universe. That's what Brahmanda means. So in the universe, so now we're looking at, if you're in the universe and you have forgotten Krishna, you've forgotten the whole spirituality and your whole soul, you get that seed from Guru and Krishna.
And right? Is that the hearing/chanting?
Yes,
so
exactly.
You get given the gift.
Exactly.
But the gift is that it
yes.
actually awakens. Okay.
Exactly. That is exactly what I was going to say. Exactly that, yeah. So that verse is contained within this verse. And that's very important to understand that the hierarchy of truths. Some people get into problems, especially that whole origin of the jiva thing, which B. Krishna Maharaj was talking about. When they put the truth of like, once you're in the spiritual world, you never want to come here. That is a truth. But the truth of the individual soul has free will. In other words, the individual soul is a person that never loses the personhood. That always has, that is foundational. You know what I'm saying? So you have to see there's truths that are on different levels. That's a foundational truth. And nothing that truth says that, you'll never come to the material world once you go back to the spiritual world. And even the verse, Krishna even is talking about going back there in the Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't say come from there. He says once you go back, you'll never want to come back here. He's contrasting that with going to the heavenly planets, going here and there in the universe, and you come back and go all the way around. So anyway, yeah, there's different categories of verses, and this is foundational. And as you just said rightly, Matt, so the Shravanadi, by hearing, etc. Like, how can you hear if nobody tells you what to hear? You can't, right? So that's the Guru gives you that. That seed of bhakti is actually the hearing, and it is literally, it's the holy name, it's that sound. So that's, given. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, because I've never explained it that way. It's amazing, huh? When you ask the question, then you have. You guys have found that? When somebody asks you a question, it's like it comes out better than if you're just thinking about it yourself. Mystical, right? Very good. All right. So this is kind of what we're kind of gonna talk about. And this letter from Prabhupada, November 22nd, 1974, you'll see pretty much is just that verse, right? Not just, but it's pretty much directly that verse. In my books, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is explained fully. So if there's anything which you do not understand, then you simply have to read again and again. By reading daily, the knowledge will be revealed to you. And by this process, your spiritual life will develop. Krishna consciousness is not a hackneyed thing, but it is something which is our natural and original consciousness. Presently, our consciousness is clouded, just like a mirror becomes covered with dust. So the cleansing process is this chanting and hearing and doing some service and trying to please the spiritual master. By this process, our consciousness becomes clear and we are able to understand everything. So very important, this foundational point. By this process, our consciousness becomes clear and we are able to understand everything, right? So Krishna consciousness is a process of awakening what's already dormant within us, and then we understand everything as it's awakened, right? Prabhupada doesn't say, you learn all the books, you learn every single thing, and if you can sit for 1 year and learn everything perfectly, you get the degree in that. No, he says, right, the conscious has to become clear, right? Shravanadi shuddha chitte. Literally exactly the verse, right? Shuddha chitta, purify the consciousness becomes clear. So why we're talking about this in the context of this class, I'm not sure if I have any more slides, I don't, so that's it, is that what you might hear from some people there is that, ISKCON and Prabhupada, they have given the basics. They've given the basics, but come over to here and my guru and he'll tell you the really high level stuff that's in the spiritual world about the gopis and all this kind of stuff. Has anyone heard any kind of wonderful offers like this? But you've heard that kind of a thing, right?
About it. He said to me, what you learn in ISKCON is like high school, and what we learn in the map is like university. And I said, what's the difference? And he couldn't answer the question, and then the woman behind him who was in the tent chastised him and was like, you can't say that.
Right. Where, was this here?
This was at the, you know, there's a local market every Sunday, farmers market.
Yes.
That's one.
The Wednesday? The Wednesday one? Yeah.
They
In
were
the showgrounds.
selling like samosas and stuff and handing out flyers.
Right.
Must have been another map.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing, because I'm like giving this theoretical thing and Matt's like, yeah, this is how it happened.
Fully happened.
He literally said, what you learn there is like high school, we learn.
Yeah. And then he gave me a pamphlet. He's like, just read this, it's all in there. And I read it, and it's nothing different.
Yeah.
There's no difference between what they were saying in their pamphlet and what we're learning here. They just had worse food. And so if there's nothing different, that's good. That's good, right? And the main thing that they or I say they sounds terrible, but the main thing some people will say is that they will give you direct like insights into these intimate pastimes of Krishna and the gopis and all this kind of stuff. Now, we are on such a level that all the scriptures tell us you shouldn't try to understand that at this level, because we will just immediately think about in terms of our thing, our relationships, right? We have a temporary material body, we're identifying as a man. God knows if we're a man in the spiritual world, we have no idea. And if we're a woman in the spiritual world, we have no idea what we are there, right? We have no idea. But we're identified as that, and then we have husband, wife, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend. Like, we have this whole idea of what that means. And if we hear those direct pastimes of Krishna, gopis and stuff like that, we just naturally think and it's very offensive. It's just it's illusory. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for us. It's a bit like the example is given like when kids talk about playing mum and dad, you know? Like we probably all did that as a kid. I remember playing that as my parents and putting the big shoes on and we're playing mum and dad, whatever. But how much do the kids actually know about what it means like to be a mum or dad? Like nothing, right? Of a 5-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So that's the example. So we're like the kids. In spiritual life, we're like the kids. So the kids can talk around as much as they want to. Oh yeah, I saw mum do this, I saw dad do that. And, oh yeah, I can understand. Well, you know, they're 5 years old. They can't really understand. They ignore the relationship, the dedication to each other in the relationship and the working to maintain. Like none of it they can understand. None of it. So for them to talk about mum and dad, this and that, it's just a pretend. You know, it's just like a play, right? And so in the same way, if we talk about, you know, oh yeah, I understand, yeah, I feel like Krishna went and the gopis did this, that. Like if we have the Krishna book, Prabhupada has given the basics of it, but we can't enter into that, is what I'm trying to say, in our conditioned life. As we become purified, we can. And this will be, and that Prabhu devotee at the market wouldn't have got onto this because somebody else said, don't say that. But that's what he would have been talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. And the thing is that our acharyas, like Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur and Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they all say this is almost one of the worst things you can do for your spiritual life. And I think we've seen that. We've seen that even in my time. I've seen people who really get into this at an immature age thinking that I can understand this, and they're just like, no.
It's like trying to read the more intimate pastimes and make interpretations on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's just, we just have no thing. So I brought this book. This is actually a book of Sridhar Swami, he's the guru of, he's Prabhupada's godbrother, and he has a line of disciples as well. He's very, very nice devotee. Very nice devotee. He's not saying it properly, but he's an exalted Vaishnava. He was pretty much Prabhupada's best friend, you could say. He used to stay with Prabhupada when Prabhupada was a householder, and so he knows him very well. And the reason I'm bringing this book is the same reason that other devotees in ISKCON will show this, that this is not something that ISKCON says. It's not like, oh yeah, ISKCON there to say you don't talk about that. No, this is what Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said. This is what... and he's quoting Bhaktisiddhanta and said that Rupa Goswami has classified Madhurya Rasa, so the highest levels of rasa, the conjugal rasa, he's classified it and given the science of general devotion, general bhakti, and the gradual development of bhakti. The highest position is Madhurya Rasa, it is finished there. And then he says, we did not venture to enter into the details of Madhurya Rasa. Our Guru Maharaj did not like it. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Now, he himself has an eternal position in the spiritual world. So he's from there, right? And he really didn't like it when neophytes like us would talk about those higher pastimes. And he said, it will become irresistibly within you when you go on with Shravanam and Kirtanam. So this is the important point. It becomes irresistible to you as you chant and hear. See? Remember that sloka? It's not something that can be put from another source. By hearing and chanting, as your heart purifies, you are irresistibly drawn to all the pastimes of Krishna. All the different pastimes become more and more interesting and more. And that's what he's saying here. You're irresistibly drawn to that. That as you're drawn to it, as you're purified, then you're drawn to it. You don't venture into it. When it comes, it will awaken within you. It won't be awakened by any other person. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur talking. An example was given by Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Babaji Maharaj used to live in a very small hut on the banks of the Ganges. Another gentleman, imitating him, erected a similar cottage nearby, and externally he used to show renunciation like Babaji Maharaj. Not eating and taking baths, some days not taking bath. In this way he was showing some physical austerity. Then Gorkashore Das Babaji remarked one day to one sadhu, "Only by entering a labour room a girl does not produce a child. It is a mere imitation, but many things are necessary beforehand." So he's giving another example. Right? Just by going into the hospital, if a young woman says, I really want to have a baby, so quick, let me into that hospital, let me into the delivery room. But if she's not pregnant, no baby's going to come. So he's giving that example. Just by imitating, just by that, it doesn't come. And there's another nice part of this book, I'll just describe briefly, is that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he said, these topics, he said, we always keep them above our heads. So it's not that we don't know they're there. We know they're there. We're aware of them. Prabhupada has given Krishna book where he's given an outline of all these pastimes with all the philosophy weaved into it. So we can read that and we can get a lot of access to it. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, we keep them above our heads. They're up there. We can't go into that. We're down here, we're trying to serve our Guru, we're trying to serve the mission, trying to develop, we're trying to purify our hearts. The purification is what allows us to go there. Not trying to enter, not trying to grab it, whatever. Say, these pastimes are way up there, they're above our heads. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He talked like that, in that mood. I don't know.
Even the most intimate pastimes, do they become... do we come to understand them through the process of chanting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But you understand they're totally free from lust.
Sure.
So for us to think about an interaction of the feminine and the masculine with no lust. Hard, impossible. Yeah, exactly. But we understand that this philosophy is that everything we see in this world has its origin in the spiritual world. So the masculine feminine interaction, that has its origin in the spiritual world. But it's totally devoid of material lust. So that's what you're dealing with. So until you're really, really pure of any attraction to this world, you just can't enter into it. Because it's like somebody who has a trauma, they almost drowned when they were a kid or something, and there was like lavender growing by the lake. So for the rest of their life, they associate the smell of lavender with almost drowning. It's, we all have that. We all have different associations of things. So we just associate men and women, that whole sphere of activity with lust. We associate the two together. But the pure form of that masculine and feminine has zero lust. So we can't. As soon as we think of that, we think of lust. It's just like we're traumatized. We've been traumatized by so many lifetimes of trying to get that experience through material lust. It's failing, of course, because the pure experience of the masculine and feminine is beyond material lust.
But how else are we born into this world? Like, we are born into this world from that.
Yes,
so
we are. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's how we're born into this world. Yeah. Then?
That's really, hard then, isn't it? To sort of, how do you work with that?
How do you work with
If
it?
that's what we're born from, then...
Yeah.
Well, how do you work with that? Without understanding what you're just talking about?
You don't really work with it because, you're rightly saying that to try to work in that understanding is just like, how can I? Because I'm born into it.
Yeah.
Like my parents had material lust. They came together and then I was born out of that. So again, Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, we keep that up there. That's a concept that's up there. It's like above our heads. We don't try to go, we're going to get into it and understand this. We can't at this time, but we know it's there for us. But our challenge is to purify our hearts. So we don't worry about that. And we know we have material lust, so we utilize everything in Krishna's service. We're not going to stop eating, are we? No. Yeah. Right? We can't do. So we have that. So for most people, that some people can stay, celibate and unmarried, but for most people, they'll get married and then use that as a service to Krishna, have children. If generally, it's not saying you have to have children to be Krishna conscious, not saying that, but whatever you have, you use that in you be happy with where you are. So that's the question I think you're saying, like, how do we, knowing that, we know we're born out of material lust, how do we come to that? Well, first of all, we know where we are. We're down here. We're on the first step. And really, this is a lot what this whole class is about. Some people will tell you, say you're on the bottom floor and there's a restaurant on the first floor, they'll say, and people are walking up the stairs, there's some people at the bottom saying, oh, those idiots taking all the trouble to walk up, we're down here, we're eating. And they say, you're not eating? Yeah, we are, I can taste it all. Some people have, it's kind of like an imaginary kind of thing. But someone who actually is serious about going to the restaurant, they put one foot on the first step. And then they go, and gradually then they actually go and taste it. So in the same way, like, we know we're down here on the bottom, but we want to get to there. So what's the first step? We can't jump to there. That's the whole point of this. We can't jump to understanding masculine and feminine interaction without any material lust. We can't. If we do, what's it going to be? Illusion. Just fooling ourselves, right? Just pretending. Like the kids talking about the parents, or like some guy on the ground floor saying, yeah, I'm eating at the restaurant on the first floor, when he's just still there. He hasn't even taken the first step. So, yeah, we take that first step, and that these steps in Bhakti are given, there's all the steps. You've had that class. So, yeah, so like that. We know it's there, but we have to just know that we're making progress on that, of purifying our heart. Like we can look at ourselves, okay, 6 months ago, what was I attached to? What was I doing? A year ago, 2 years ago, what was I doing? Where was I at? And we can all think about ourselves. We can go, oh, actually, I'm making some progress. I'm not there yet, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, but it's a good question. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a funny thing to be staying away from her, because if you're trying to do something right in a sense of between the masculine and feminine, you don't want to kind of just be all involved in lust, but then you're kind of trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. And then someone could go to these kind of things thinking like, I don't know, it could help them. We're not like trying to do it in a way that's trying to, I don't know. I don't think people are trying to get involved with these things to be a menace. It's kind of, you want to know so they have a full understanding of things, right?
I'll get involved in these intimate pastimes and so forth?
Yeah, you want to kind of know what the full spectrum of what's going on, have an understanding of what's going on.
You can read, in Krishna book, Prabhupada gives the full spectrum. It's all there. Okay. It's all there, right? There's nothing there, but it's spoken in such a way that you understand, Krishna danced with the gopis, okay, hear that, that's there. But there are other, the thing is, when we only focus on that, then that can become like a sense gratification. Oh yeah, Krishna's a young boy, Radha's a young girl, and it becomes a sense, it's sense gratification. I mean, to be honest, when I hear people talk like that, it's a big turn off. I just go, oh my God. And I didn't feel like that when I first started chanting, but after almost 30 years of chanting, it's not a theory for me. I hear people like that and I just go, oh my God. I don't like it. It's just like people pretending they're something they're not. Like that, when people are being really false. It just feels like that. It's not a conscious thing. Anyway, that's aside. But I like just saying, I directly perceive it. That's just... But anyway, yeah. You don't... You know what's there, but the point is you think about all of Krishna's pastimes, right? Krishna's on the chariot with Arjuna. Krishna's Narayan, standing there, lying there in the spiritual world, manifesting all the universes. Krishna is Lord Caitanya, dancing and chanting, performing austerities as a sannyasi. Krishna is Varahadev, lifting up the earth. He's Buddha. He's you think of all the different things. And also, there's this pastime where he's dancing with gopis and playing a flute. But that's okay. He does that. But to just focus on that and say, this is all I'm going to... Because, and it's very... Sorry, it's very puffed up, actually. It's very, proud. Oh, yeah, that must have sounded pretty, proud coming from somebody. Sorry to say. You know, oh yeah, what you do over there? Oh, you're just like high school. Oh, we're like the big.
Oh, you're looking at me. I thought you were looking at him.
I know. I'm saying the guy that said that to you.
Yeah.
It must have sounded like it came across, right?
Yeah.
It's like pride.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, oh, I'm better than you.
Unsubstantiated pride.
Unsubstantiated pride, and like, oh, we're better. My group's better than your group, or something like that. Yeah. So that's the issue with it. Is like, oh yeah, we just focus on the gopis, and the gopis is the highest because
it was baseless.
And the Goswamis have said there's 5 different rasas, like the different relationships: neutrality, servitude, friendship, parental, and conjugal. And they've said, like, of those, the conjugal includes all the others. There's a whole science of relationship which you can get into. But the thing is, to say that that's the highest thing doesn't mean that if you just think about that, you're higher than the other guy. No, it just means you're lower. You're not following the process. And this is why we're saying this. By this process, our consciousness becomes clear and we're able to discern everything. So the cleansing of the heart, Cheto Dharpana Marjanam. You know that one we chant in the temple? That Cheto Dharpana Marjanam Bhava Mahandavani. That's Lord Chaitanya's 8 slokas. The very first words of that is Cheto, the heart, Dharpana, cleaning. Dharpana is like the mirror. Marjanam is cleaning. There's the first 3 words in Lord Chaitanya's only 8 verses he gave. So first cleanse your heart of, cleanse it, then naturally it awakens. It's not that we do this and we're better than you guys. So that's kind of why this whole class is just to say, Matt didn't need the class. You could have got a ticket for this class because you already, I'm just saying you didn't need it because somebody already said this to you, I'm talking about, and you just went, oh.
I had it might be worth, who was that young Prabhu that came very learned and did a talk up at...
Chaitanya Charan?
No, he's a
Indian?
Tilak. I got right into this conversation with Tilak about like how, you know, why are things restricted from us, why are things not...
And it's not restricted, it's just not something we focus on because we're not ready for it. Yeah, I mean...
Not ready for it. That was what triggered me. I was like, what do you mean not ready for it? Like, don't tell me I'm not ready for something. Like, how would you know? And he just gave me an example because of the thing. He said, that's what I mean by you're not ready. Because as a human, when you hear a story like that, your brain just goes straight away into a human mode, and they've found some distorted connection to feel good and think about God at the same time. It's like, that's why you just leave it. It's not worth it. It's well above us because
it's something we know about, and we know, and the reason it's important to know is that for the impersonalists, they say that doesn't exist. They say that the spiritual world, there's nothing there. They say, oh, it's just all a light, or the Buddha say it's all a void, there's nothing there. So for most people, they think, well, if there's nothing up there, I think I might stay down here. Because at least I have my wife, husband, at least I have something to eat, at least I have something. Like literally, and Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj literally makes his point that by saying that in the spiritual world there's none of that, it gives indirect impetus for this, for people to indulge in, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Here, down here. Because they think, oh, why do I go there? There's nothing there. There's no rasa, there's no relationship. And we are built of relationship. That's our soul. It's not just the material covering that makes relationship. We are that, according to the Vaishnava traditions. So it's important. It is important to know that it's there. Of course, how much of it we can understand? Practically nil, like basically 0.00 or something. But we know that. Why is it such a big deal? Why do they drape a beautiful woman over every car, not every car, like everything? Because the feminine is attractive. Yeah. The feminine is what attracts, and the masculine is what is attracted to the feminine and gives the field for the feminine to interact in. There's all these interactions of masculine and feminine in this world that everyone's attracted to. Everyone's attracted to that. So why are we attracted? Because it's in the spiritual world, in a pure form, right? So it's important to know that, but then it's important to know that we can't jump into it right now because we're stuck here.
I think that makes sense. So we can't actually conceive of what a conjugal relationship would look like in the spiritual world because we are unable to separate that from lust in this world. So therefore, to try and entertain those pastimes is actually a waste of time because we have no conception.
That's why it's offensive, it's aparad. Because we put our material inebrities onto Krishna, onto Radha Krishna.
Cool.
That's why it becomes offensive. Exactly that. Yeah.
But what it
Yeah.
is,
If we don't think about it, if we don't think about it at all in that sense, it's not offensive, is it? We're not doing anything. We're not saying like, oh, whatever, you're this when you're not. So that's why Bhaktisiddhanta is up there somewhere. It's not that it doesn't exist. We have to know it exists or we become impersonal and want to become Krishna down here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
very cool.
Lucas.
yeah, so how lust has been described to me is that it's love that's been touched by material.
Yes.
That creates that. So pure love would be spiritual, right?
Yes.
So for us to feel love in any way would mean that we would have some sort of spiritual understanding.
Well, that's the word. That's why the English word love is very. There's no English word for prema. So prema in Sanskrit there's two words: prema and kama. Prema means divine affection, divine connection, and kama means material lust. It's two separate words. Where are those two words in English? Does anyone know them? Do you know them?
I know them in Greek.
Do you know why you don't know them? They don't exist. They don't have a word for divine love in English. You'd have to put divine in front of the word love.
Yeah.
So as soon as we say love, we mean a combination of a little bit of prema, a tiny bit of prema, and a bucket load of karma, lust. That's the English. That's the definition.
Karma sutras come from.
Yes.
You're not saying karma, you're saying karma.
Yeah, not karma, but karma without the R. Yeah, karma means lust. Yeah, lust, material lust. Yeah.
Karma. Sounds like a bogan saying karma.
Yeah.
Karma.
To karma, mate. Yeah, so exactly. So real love is, not lust, is prema, is free from any material things, and that's when you're liberated, means you don't need anything material. You don't have attraction to anything material. So
I want to go back to that.
you can
market,
actually
man.
love.
Now,
Hey?
now that I've had this chat, I want to go back to the
I was
market.
about to tell you.
find old mate.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. Any final questions? It's all good?
That was great. Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Because
you're
I've
welcome.
known these pastimes are there, but
Yeah.
I haven't been able, no one's been able to explain clearly where they sit, why they sit there, and how to best interact with them in a way that I felt satisfied to not go into the restricted section.
Yeah.
Because it's natural when you find
Yeah.
a parent says don't do
Yeah.
that, that's the thing
Yeah.
you want, and I wanted to know why.
Yeah,
now
and,
I've
and,
got
and,
it, so.
and Krishna book is awesome. Prabhupada's Krishna book, which is the 10th canto. Have you guys read it? Has anyone read Krishna book? You've got it there?
What's your advice? Because I have
Yeah.
a copy.
Yeah.
I bought a copy in Brisbane from Govinda's there some time
Yeah.
ago. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I learned that you shouldn't read the 10th canto without reading all of the
Yeah,
Bhagavatam.
are you allowed to read the
Oh.
Krishna book?
Yeah, you're allowed to read the Krishna book. Yeah. Well, I got to tell you my experience is that I got Bhagavad Gita, I read that, and then they gave me a first canto Bhagavatam. I read that. And then I went to the temple in Brisbane, or the Sunday feast, whatever, and I said to the devotees, I've got the first one, can you give me the second one? Because I thought I'd just be able to buy each one, you know. They said, no, we don't make the second one, we only make the first one. We've also got this other book called Krishna book, and that you can read the whole thing. And so I read it like at least a year or something before I was in anything. Like, and that's why as Prabhupada has just completely explained the whole thing. And he did that, knowing that he wasn't sure if he'd live long enough to do the 10th. So reading the Krishna book is not like reading the 10th canto. Now, maybe I'm out of school here because I'm just a guest speaker here. So you should also check with KJ. I don't know if you guys have a set reading list or whatever you have. But in general, there's nothing wrong with, well, there's a lot right with reading Krishna book, especially at night time before you guys go to bed. You have some hot milk or something, read Krishna book, take turns. It's so beautiful. Like it's so, to get attracted to Krishna's pastimes is so beautiful. That we should be attracted to Krishna's pastimes. It's just in the right way. And Prabhupada's given it in the most perfect way. Because he explains everything. Like he talks about rasa dance and he says, perfect example, it says, Krishna's dancing with the gopis is just like somebody dancing with their own shadow. And when you hear that, you get it. It's like, oh, it's Krishna's energy. Because when we try to dance, it's not our energy. You know? It's not our energy. We're trying to play with someone else's energy. This is God's energy that we want to. But when Krishna dances with the gopis, it's like your shadow. Like you move your hand, your shadow moves, right? So that's what he goes through it. He explains it like that.
All right.
Yeah. Is that okay? If they read Krishna book?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. You shouldn't jump straight to the 10th canto. But Krishna book is like, it's that, but it's so much of the first 9 cantos all weaved in by Prabhupada. Like you get those.
There's a whole plethora of pastimes.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's like the whole point. Is like,
Yeah.
is because we are so lusty and everything, we want to hear about those kind of pastimes
Yeah.
of Radha and Krishna. Whereas the other ones are very sweet with Krishna and Balaram,
Yeah.
you know, bashing up the demons,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. They're just having fun playing.
Yeah. And all those pastimes like in Dwarka when he goes and like does this just cool stuff and it's really awesome. Yeah.
You
So,
meant to work
yeah.
through the rasas in a chronological order.
Does it work through them?
The rasas.
Yeah.
Like,
Or do we go through them in a chronological order? In that book, actually, Saint Bhaktisiddhanta is saying we always go to the lower ones. That was his point. We hear about these high ones, and we always go to the first one, which is service. Let's try to be the servant. We don't think, oh yeah, maybe I'm Krishna's father, or maybe I'm Krishna's like friend or something. We always try to be the servant because we're naturally so puffed up. Just because we have material mind, we've been controlling the material world. So we just naturally want to be like, you know, the best or something like that. So
Everybody wants to be a Brahmana, but no one's
yeah. So, but in a way we do. In a way we do. We progress, but it starts from service, which is the first rasa. So it begins from service, but service pervades all the others, and the others just add on different elements as you go on. But it's not exactly like so step by step. It's a very organic process. Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah.